You are listening to the Roaring Reactions and Coaches Cliff Notes with the Running Through the Jungle crew. I'm your host, Brandon Harriet, here with your host, Justin Lacey and Tim Lyons. What's going on, fellas?
What it do? What it do?
It's hard to kind of wrap the emotions up into one. I feel like I would need a whole episode to describe how I'm doing right now, but I'm not going to do that. It's not a fun time right now. We'll just put it that way. I ain't got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Hey, the Bengals won. The first time Zach Taylor's ever won a week 2 game in the NFL as a head coach. So there's that. There is that. I'm pretty sure that all of Bengals fandom and nation out there would agree that it wasn't worth what we went through to get it. It was a tough one, losing Joe Burrow to what is officially now turf toe and turf toe surgery. And we'll get in a little bit more into what that means. But again, like broken record, breaking Burrow season 6. And you know what I hate about, a good ongoing TV show that's in its 6th season is why do you kill off one of the main characters in the 2nd episode? Like, what are we doing here? And that's what we're looking at right now, man. The main character's down, and I don't know. I'm suspect. There's a lot of people out there clamoring, saying he could get back in December, circle that Ravens game. I don't know, man. It's a tough one for me to think that they're going to push him back into that.
That's a real big push, because with that surgery, who knows if he's going to be 100%, in December. Do we want to chance him re-injuring it? No.
And does he become more of a sitting duck because you can't be that behind this offensive line the way they're playing right now?
Yeah. Speaking of offensive line, I just want to get this out while it's fresh in my head. Tell me this. Why in the hell, when Joe Burrow's out on the field in that first 2 quarters, first quarter and a half, our offensive line PFF grade was like 48% or 48, whatever the hell the PFF grade was. But when Jake Browning takes the field, they're 72 PFF grade. Is that offense so difficult when Joe Burrow's on the field that our big hog mollies can't block? I just don't understand it. I'm just like, I'm
Justin,
like,
you have thoughts on that one?
just like lost for words. I just don't understand it.
The difference is, though, that they run different plays for Jake Browning. He is not Joe Burrow. They are definitely more comfortable with calling plays for him to do play action under center and to get the ball out quicker, whereas Joe Burrow, he is a guy that wants to be able to operate with full efficiency in the offense that he runs. And that's kind of where I want to start with all of this, because I believe that there is a disconnect that we're not talking about. I don't think Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow are on the same page when it comes to running the offense like we thought that they were.
Nope.
It seems to me that Zach Taylor's capabilities as a head coach, for what I've always thought that he was a suppressor of Joe Burrow's talent, more so I believe that he is a complement. He's not a complement to Joe Burrow's talent. He's not the head coach that I believe that is going to be able to coach him to be at his very best, that's going to maximize the opportunities throughout the entirety of this team and for Joe Burrow himself. And also on the other side, I do not think that Joe Burrow really respects the offense play designs that Zach Taylor calls. We can talk about the protection all we want. We can talk about the different blocking schemes all day until we're blue in the face. But I believe that each time Zach Taylor calls a play and Joe doesn't like it, he has too much free realm to can the play right then and there, instead of trusting the process and realizing that this is the reason why that play is being called. I think that Joe is also to blame in this situation too, because there are times where the running lanes were there and he just doesn't want to hand the ball off. This is this was one of the biggest issues of Dan Marino back during the late 80s and early 90s, and why he never got back to a Super Bowl is because he was so gung-ho of always passing the ball all the time. Now, this is not to throw blame at Burrow, because he's obviously our best chance to win the game. But you clearly saw that the Jaguars were teeing off their defensive front. We said it in the pregame show that they were ready to come and take his head off. And they definitely did, especially on the first drive. He didn't even look that good, even on the second drive, even though we did score a touchdown. But then on the third drive, and then the drive they eventually got him knocked out of the game, it just wasn't the same Joe. And now it's just a point of emphasis that I just want to bring up, is that, yes, we're seeing a difference when Zach Taylor calls plays for Jake Browning, is because Jake Browning, he's basically Andy Dalton 2.0. He ain't trying to challenge the status quo. All he's just doing is just run the offense of the plays that he's comfortable with. And Zach Taylor can feel like that he can call his game a little bit more confidently, even though they're not always the best plays.
Especially when he comes in as the backup, right? The backup quarterback's always going to have a little bit more of a concise understanding of the playbook going into that game. He may not know all of the wrinkles that they've put in for that specific matchup. So it is going to be a little more vanilla play calling, even regardless of the change in personnel. Just going from starter to backup is always going to be a little bit more vanilla anywhere.
Absolutely.
So I think that's part of it. And listen, there's been arguments for the past couple of years on PFF grades and on stuff like that Joe does hold the ball a little bit longer. He is one of those feast or famine guys. Now, that said, I know what poor blocking looks like. It was poor blocking.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know if there's a right answer. Is Zach the correct head coach? Maybe not. I don't know. I'm not going to jump to that quite yet. But what I will say is this. I've been saying this is year 3 that I've been saying he should not be calling the plays. Be the head coach, be the game manager, be the CEO. There needs to be fresh blood in there calling plays. It just seems stale. I don't want to say stagnant, but it just seems stale. Here we go. Is this MVP Pro Zone? Is it MVP Pro Zone? MVP Pro Zach? I don't know.
MVP Pro season. MVP Pro season, I believe. Yeah.
MVP Pro season? Yeah, okay. Pros. Okay. I'm not smart enough to do that. My apologies. Not trying to mess your name up. It says Chase Brown, is he the main guy now? Thoughts on that? Tim, what do you think? I know you'd like him to be, wouldn't you?
Chase Brown is our RB1. Of course he's our RB1.
But I'm saying, is he the main guy now that Joe Burrow went down? Is that who we should lean on?
Jamar, who we should lean on? There's no way we're going to lean on that. It don't matter. This is a repeat of the 2023 season when Joe Burrow went down and Jake Browning came in here. I'm sorry, but this is how I feel about it. I don't care if they're still going to be trying to throw the ball, because that's what Zach Taylor likes to do. That's what his offense is. I don't care if it's Joe Burrow or Jake Browning back there. They're still going to throw the ball. That was one thing is they gave up on the run. And when they were doing runs, they were getting stuffed. Chase Brown is our RB1. He's going to be our RB1. But I don't think he's the main guy now. The main guy is going to be still Uno and T. Higgins out there. Those guys, look what Uno did to that game yesterday. He was just phenomenal. Without Jamar Chase out there on Sunday, we would have lost this game in a heartbeat. Even though how bad, Jake Browning plays, 3 interceptions. Yeah, I give him my hats off for him, pushing a win back or a comeback, a win in the end. That's great. But I've seen this episode already. This is the same episode from 2023, just new cast and new members and same production team and same directors. It's going to be the same show. Unfortunately, I don't know. Like right now, I'm just like to that point to where, like my wife, she's not even a football a football person. She doesn't even watch football. She doesn't understand football, even though she grew up watching football with her mom, but she never explained it to her. But anyways, besides the point, she goes, "Why are you guys paying Joe Burrow all this money if he keeps getting hurt?" I'm like to this point to going, okay, we can blame the offensive line, we can blame the front office, we can blame Zach Taylor, we can blame that they're not bringing people in to protect him, we can blame Joe Burrow himself. It's like, I don't know, like, can we just have a great year again where Joe Burrow's healthy and we make it to the playoffs? We have a great season. No, we have nice things. Let's break them. It's like me buying a new transformer for my nephew, and 2 games later he breaks the shit. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is anymore. And this is the bad thing about being a Cincinnati Bengals fan. We went through the 90s, we went through the 2000s, we went through the Andy Dalton and the Marvin Lewis era. Now we're doing this whole Zach Taylor era. It's pathetic as Bengals fans when we're going, oh, this is Zach Taylor's first second week win of his career. That's just pathetic. But anyways, I don't know. The main guy is whoever steps up, takes control, and wins us some football games. I don't know if Jake Browning's going to be the guy to do it, but I guess we'll see.
Jamar Chase is the main guy.
Yeah, I know.
Period. End of story. He's the best wide receiver in football right now. You're going to have to lean on him. And I think Jake Browning's going to have more of a propensity to force it to him than Joe did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think he's going to probably force that throw a little bit more to him than not. Here's another comment. We should try another QB. Jake makes bad decisions. Okay. I mean, he's going to be the best choice we have right now.
Yeah, and I want to address that. I'm sorry, Justin, I don't mean to talk over you if you had an opinion on this, but I want to address that. Try out another quarterback. Who are we going to go try out?
It's not
Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor starting for the Jets.
Okay, I'm just saying Jameis Winston, who's going to make bad decisions. Who's going to throw 50 interceptions in a whole damn season. Who are we? There's nobody out there for us to be trying. Yeah, we can go try out Josh Johnson, bring him back to the Cincinnati Bengals and watch him fail. Bring back Jeff Driscoll. You know what? Better yet, let's just bring AJ McCarron back to the Bengals. It's not going to work. Our best decision right now is Jake Browning. He knows the offense. He's been Joe Burrow's backup. He's been a starter in Cincinnati before. We just need him to make better choices and not be put under the situation that he was put in on Sunday.
Justin, what are your thoughts?
I don't really have no thoughts on it. I mean, it is what it is. It just is what it is.
I want to do a synopsis over here. Double A Austin's Art rocking with us again. He's had several comments here to put it in perspective. I'll give you the cliff notes of that. Of Austin's comments are, it doesn't really blame the offensive line because this should have been addressed earlier. It should have been addressed years ago. Should have kept being addressed. But I want to focus on this year, right? Everybody knew if you are on. Justin loves to be on Bengals Twitter. If you want to, if you're listening to other podcasts, you're listening to us out there. We knew there was systematic issues with this offensive line. Reisner was the patch, right? But that kind of signing or transaction should have happened way earlier in the offseason. And the reason why is offensive lines have to mesh. You know what I mean? Like they have to play together, know each other's tendencies, how to pass off blockers when they're twisting, stunning, things like that. They didn't have any time to do that. So I get Austin's part of that comment there. The front office didn't handle that correctly, getting the offensive line at least solidified. You can just get it solidified to where you have starters, NFL starters on the line, and then try to get better still. My thoughts.
I'll say this, though, about the O-line. I like the cast of characters that they was able to put together for the time being. But I am going to look squarely at the front office and the organization, Duke Tobin, Katie Black, all of them, because they should have moved a hell of a lot sooner. It should not have taken you to the week after the preseason of week 3 in preseason for you to bring in a guy like Dalton Reisner, who's been sitting on the street for a long time. Fans can't get mad that we had brought him in because guess what? Y'all been talking about bringing him in for like 6 months. Bengals finally brought him in. They brought in Lucas Patrick, which we were not thrilled about. Dylan Fairchild, people were raving about him. Teddy Karras was a reliable center. And then we had the two guys at tackle, Orlando Brown Jr. and Amarius Mills, with Cody Ford as a swing backup. I'm sorry, but like with that offensive line, you better be able to do something. And I think that I can't fault the Bengals for trotting that out for this year. However, I do fault them for wasting all of the time during the offseason when they could have made a plan to overcome this a lot better. And it's the same thing you can say about other positions too, but the O-line is obviously the microscope is on them because of obviously with Joe being hurt. But I'm gonna make this very clear on this spot. I am not solely blaming the offensive line. Did they had a bad breakdown in protection? Absolutely. But if you look at the play, this was not all on the O-line. Some of it was on Joe, but also too, that was a regular football play of Joe getting sacked. It wasn't no egregious tackle. People want to blame Eric Armstead. I think that you are crazy because, first of all, he didn't even tackle the foot that he got hurt on. It is what it is. These things happen. But I'm sick and tired of it happening to Joe Burrow because guess what's going to ultimately be the narrative now, and he's never going to be able to shake past it, is that he is injury prone. He is now at the spot where now I have to acknowledge that he is going to get hurt as multiple times throughout his career to the point where I don't even know if he's going to make it to year 10 in the NFL anymore. That's what I will say.
And it was one of those, it's been freak injury after freak injury after freak injury too, right? None of it is correlated whatsoever. The wrist surgery he had was the first quarterback to ever have that wrist surgery. Only 2% of people that get turf toe end up having to have surgery. He immediately has to have surgery. There's only been, I think, one other quarterback that's had surgery the past 5 years, and that was Pat Mahomes. So
yeah, he got his done during the offseason. So
yeah, he played through the playoffs with it, and then had it in the offseason. But just I don't know, bad situation. Tom Brady, thank you obviously for joining us. Great quarterback, terrible announcing. Yes, we are sad in Cincinnati. It is what it is, though, man. Next man up. Go watch the games regardless.
Yeah. So we
got to watch the games regardless. Go see what we can do. Hopefully, we get to ruin some seasons. Hopefully, we get to, I don't know. I've seen the stay relevant, or I've seen also the just go ahead and let it all unravel and tank. I don't know. I think there's too much talent to tank that bad.
Again, this whole tank idea is absolutely stupid because the only time that I root for this team to have tanked when we were trying to get a guy like Joe Burrow. And it was clear and obvious that he looked like he was going to be the guy to be the one that rescued the Cincinnati Bengals from the depths of hell coming off of that season. But the tanking again for a better draft position, we need to stop with all that. Your organization got to be better at maneuvering during the offseason and to be a better football team year in and year out. The Eagles do it every year. The Chiefs, even though they're starting off 0-2, they do it every year. The Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens, the list goes on. Dare I say it, even the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, even though they lost yesterday, but they're still find themselves in relevant statuses every single year, even though their draft positioning is having them pick in the 20s. We got to do a better job. This losers mentality is not what we should be doing right now, just because Joe is hurt. I'm pretty much writing off Joe is not playing for the rest of the year. I know that there are indications that he can be back by December, but I'm just not buying it. I'm just not buying it. If this team is also like has a losing record, like a 5-7 record,
Why even bring
or
him back?
that's what I'm saying. No damn
That's
point in
stupid.
that, just to try to
Yeah.
rescue out this rest of the year where you might not even make it a playoff spot. You might as well just let him sit out the rest of the year. That's how I feel, honestly. I am just already writing off that Joe's season is done, even though it might be irresponsible for me to do so with the information that we've been given so far regarding his turf toe injury. I just think that I've seen this song and dance in this movie before. I got to look forward to next year at this point, but that doesn't mean I'm doing mock drafts at all. I am focused on how we're going to look, how they're going to rally the rest of the season. It's after literally 2 weeks. Let's see how we rebound. Let's see how they respond. Let's see if Zach Taylor can get these guys fired up, because this is going to be what tests the depths of his coaching ability. Because if he is the type of coach that he believes he is, and a lot of Zach Taylor truthers believe he is, he will rally this team to be able to win games and get them and will them to the playoffs by his coaching measures. If not, he's out the door. And that's sad to say, but that's the reality. That's the unfortunate reality that he is in right now. His seat is hotter than ever now.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here from our sponsors, and then once we come back, we're going to give you our offensive player, defensive players of the game, and a quick what is there to look forward to next week. So we'll be right back after these messages. And you are back with the Roaring Reactions, Coach's Cliff Notes. I really don't want to go into the coach speak. It just talked about what was going to happen with Joe Burrow. I will say this: Jake Browning, fairly charming when interviewed. It got a little personality to him, a little funny, kind of seems like a good old boy, you know. Didn't mind him at all. But yeah, we need to get into our offensive player of the game, defensive player of the game, talk about our upcoming battle against the Minnesota Vikings real quick, and put a nice little bow on this and go watch this football game that's on right now. Offensive player of the game, gentlemen, clean sweep.
It's Jamar Chase.
All in agreement. Second.
Yep. Third.
I mean,
no explanation needed.
No, none at all. None needed.
14 catches, 165 yards, and a touchdown. Heck of a day.
Yeah.
Heck of a day. I said he was probably the most important person. I want to see him do more of this, where they kind of impose their will and things like that. That's a good job. Get him the ball. Defensive player of the game, though, I think there's a little bit more here we can dig into. Tim, I'll kick it over to you. Let you start off. Who you got for your defensive game ball?
So I wrote mine down. I'm going with Dax Hill. He stepped up into that corner position, tackle for loss, interception. I think he had like a total eight tackles, I believe it was. My defensive game ball is going to Dax Hill. He finally, I think he played the best out of all the corners in the whole game. He's actually showing, we should have had Dax Hill in there at corner from the very beginning, from the get-go. Even though I think Trevor still had 200 some yards passing and 2 interceptions, but Dax Hill.
All right, Justin, who you got for your defensive game ball?
Yeah, I got to go with Dax Hill too. I mean, he was my guy that I picked as well. I did split a game ball half between him and Jordan Battle, because I thought Jordan Battle had a great day. And we can't forget about Trey Henderson with the closing of the sack to kind of put the nail in the coffin on the game. But it's Dax Hill for me too, man. Like, this defense is still bad. Okay, let's just get that out there right now. I get it, the market improvement that people want to make, because they got a couple of ricochet turnovers from last week against Cleveland. They got a couple against the Jags. But like Dax Hill more specifically, he made me feel so much better about the direction I believe that where he's headed, and not even just that corner, but just being a defensive player overall. I felt like at times the defense was really slow trying to chase guys like Bashal Tootin and Travis Etienne. They were just gashing us left and right, man, with the running game. And we kind of called that too, just because Jaguars, they actually knew how to stick with the run. And Trevor Lawrence, he made some crazy throws that were really not good. And quite frankly, he also had some that was truly just dropped by the receivers. This defense is bad. They took advantage of opportunities that the Jaguars handed them. But the one guy outside of Trey Hendrickson, as we already know, that I personally feel like that made even more of an impact to one that makes me feel like that, okay, if he can keep this up, he can be a monster this year, is Dax Hill. Couple of tackles for loss. We already know about the interception that was subdued because of the pressure, but the announcers wanted to say that Dax Hill was beat on that play. No, he was not. He positioned himself to undercut that ball because if you look at the play closely, even though it pans the camera a little bit too late, he looked at like that he was expecting that ball to be thrown under on the outside, and he was going to pick it off regardless. And that it was either he undercut it or Trevor Lawrence was going to sell it high and throw the ball. That's great. That's great intellect by him. That tells me he's been watching film. But like I said, I'm going to go with Dax Hill. I'm not going to continue with the belabor the point. That's the guy that I'm going to select for my defensive game ball.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give a shout out here to Austin's Art. Yeah, we should definitely give Mitchell Tinsley some love for that one-handed catch for his first catch in the NFL, being that one-handed touchdown catch.
That was a phenomenal play.
He's giving Trey Hendrickson. Pretty quiet for the most part, but I do like him calling game at the end. You know, it's a good way to end it.
Yeah.
That was fun. I wish time would have completely expired there. I'm still not sure it didn't, to be honest with you. Geno Stone, no thank you.
Geno Stone did not have an interception. That was Jordan Battle, by the way.
Yeah, Jordan Battle. And Jordan
That's why I said he was my half game ball too. Jordan Battle was.
I have Dax Hill written down for mine. I not only
clean sweep for all of them.
When you look at the stats, he was there. But before I looked at the stats, my eye test said Dax Hill. My eye test said Dax Hill played the best on the defense. Now, one of the other things I looked into to shout you out here, Justin, 3 running backs play for the Jacksonville Jaguars. All 3 of them had over 5 yards per carry. Not good. That needs to be better. And then when I look at the sheet and I see that Dax Hill is my leading tackler there and not a linebacker, that tells me why. One of those linebackers needs to have double-digit tackles if they're going to run the ball 24 times or 25 times against you. Somebody's got to get 10 tackles. You got to stop that from getting that to the 3rd level, right? Or not rely on a corner to come up. So that I think is something that needs to improve. It'll be interesting to see. You know, Minnesota's got some injuries too, right? Carson Wentz is going to start next week. We play this week Sunday at 1:00 again. They're going to be without Aaron Jones.
I was about to say that too. Yeah, Aaron Jones is out too.
But we got to watch out for their defense. So their defense, Brian Flores, he's a great DC. Great DC.
He is. They're banged up on defense a little bit too.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting game. I think this is still the way everything's playing out right now. I think this is still a gettable game for us.
And right now, the Bengals are in position that you can't afford no errors with this injury to Joe. If you do have any sort of glimmer of hope that he's going to return and play this year, you can't drop games like upcoming this Sunday against the Minnesota Vikings. But at the end of the day, I just think that they just need to just show up and show out just like any other moment. And then they just got to band together as a unit for this one here. I mean, I will also say this. I'm glad to see that they actually came together and played like a team that wanted to play an inspiring performance and didn't just say Chicken Little, the sky is falling, and then just mailed it in, because they could have absolutely done that. It was early enough in the game for the coaching staff to make adjustments going into half and be like, all right, Jake Brown, this is your playbook. Let's go. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're a team that notoriously beat themselves. One thing that I cannot unsee is Liam Cohen choosing to go for it on 4th and 5 deep in our own territory, where he could have just kicked the field goal and went up 6. Yes, people are going to like the aggressive play calls. Like, oh, well, it doesn't matter because the Bengals end up getting the ball and going down by a touchdown. But like, if you game plan that they need a touchdown versus need the option of a field goal or a touchdown in that instance, when we got the ball back, then that tells me that you would have prepared the defense a little bit better. But no, you decided to be uber aggressive to try to not only get the first down, but to try to get the knockout punch, and it backfired. That's just stupid. That was stupid. But however, the receivers, Brian Thomas Jr. dropping passes left and right, man, in this game. Just basically, in other receivers too, the Bengals caught some very fortunate breaks. We'll take a little luck on our side. We need it. I'll take this win. They did a backdoor cover because the Bengals was 3.5 favorite going into this game, and they did a backdoor cover and did a 4-point win. So I'll take it for now, but obviously the chances are not looking pretty high going into the following week against Minnesota.
I don't know, man. Like I said, Carson Wentz versus Jake Browning. I don't know. It's coin toss. Coin toss.
Gonna be a shootout.
So to me, it's the two best wide receivers in the league going at it. So
that's what I'm watching it for.
It'll be
that's
fun
it.
to watch. It'll be fun.
And let's not forget how much hate Jake Browning has for the Minnesota Vikings.
That's very true.
So you never know.
All right. Any parting shots? Last words before we get out of here, Justin. You got anything you want to say?
I'm not very positive right now, and y'all can hear that through the voice echoing throughout this episode here. I mean, come on, it's self-explanatory why I'm not the overly positive. But I will say this: I'm not mailing in on the season yet. I got super excited for football season to start, and I hate to think that 2 weeks in that it's already over. I'm going to watch the games like a fan, and I'm going to just root for them to play their best ball, and I'm just going to just cheer on Sundays for my team to win. And wherever that leads us is wherever that leads us. But just keep your head up. As tough as it is, but just keep your head up.
I feel you. Tim, any last words for the people?
I know I was kind of rough, a little, at the beginning of the show, kind of went off on my little tangent, but I'm going to try to. I wasn't really crashing out. It's just kind of like, when you see this episode and you see this season before, it kind of hits you. But I'm going to try to stay optimistic and have a little faith. I ain't going to say hope. I'm going to say have a little faith in Jake Browning and what he can do with that offense. I hope to see that our defense keeps, improving. I'll use that loosely. But they did make some plays when we needed them to make plays. So, I'm not going to give it all on the Jacksonville dropping passes and stuff. But, they made some plays when we needed them to make some plays. So, with a healthy quarterback, I think this would be a different season. But now we're doing this whole Jake Browning experience 2.0. But like I said, I'm going to keep optimistic, and we'll see. These next couple of weeks, we're going to be rough. We got Vikings, we got the Lions, we got the Broncos. It's going to be interesting. It's going to either be very good football for these next 3 weeks, or it's going to be a long freaking 3 weeks, one or the other. But I'm going to try to keep optimistic. Hooday.
I'm still going to root for him. It is what it is. That ain't going to change. I appreciate each and every one of you rocking with us in the live chat. Saw some new faces over there. Please. Thank you. Hit that like, that subscribe, get those notifications. Tell a friend to tell a friend. You can watch us live on YouTube with the Roy Reactions, live on Wednesdays with the Running Through the Jungle. We will have the taped version of the Bengals crossover. And, we're going to keep it going. There's a lot to still discuss, and a lot of things to take a look at. So I'm interested, man. I'll still be rooting for him and my squad. It is what it is. So until, listen, check us out on Wednesday here. And then, More reactions and more crossovers and more football. I still love this time of year. Who Dey?